the folks in China. Where's your model? Oh my God, did I step up there? Wait, here, let me spotlight this for everyone. Technical difficulties. There we go. Cool. All right.
Okay, so I did alley cropping. So basically, alley cropping is where they plant trees in like little rows, and then they plant the crops in the little alleys between the trees. Yeah, it helps like provide protection from the or for the crops, and it helps like them grow basically.
Protection from
Like wind and like animals too.
Yeah, definitely protection from wind erosion. Really cool method of like pest control too, where you might have like certain species that will eat like pest insects and stuff that could live in the trees. Perhaps like predatory birds or whatever. Do you remember what types of trees? Oh, actually, I found that not in the video. I found it on a different one. So a lot of times they'll try to plant trees that you can also harvest foods from. So maybe like a walnut or pecan tree. And that's another good way to like diversify your income. So like if you have poor crop yields from your in-between crops, you can still sell the products from your trees. Questions on alley cropping? So I'm going to talk about windbreaks, which are similar to alley cropping. They're just kind of, I guess, like a little bit more basic. So here's my example over here. So we have our farmland out here, and windbreaks will be a row of trees. Generally, you have like a taller group of trees and then like a shorter group next to it. And as you might guess from the name, it creates a windbreak. So the trees will force the wind actually to go up and over the tree, and then it kind of comes down at a really shallow angle. So actually it can cover, you take the height of the tallest tree, and it can protect your field 10 times that distance. Yeah, so very effective, especially at stopping, wind erosion. Yeah, similar to alley cropping, though you will probably have different types of trees. Maybe more coniferous or deciduous trees, not necessarily something that you could gain profit from. Yeah. Maybe I will do strip cover now. So strip cover is a seasonal technique. So maybe I have my plot of land again right here. So I harvest all of my food in the fall and I eat a delicious Thanksgiving feast. And then I leave my field empty in the winter and there's huge winds and I lose all of my soil. And that's really sad. So an idea is to do something called strip cropping, where you will grow generally like grains that grow really fast, sort of like a quick growing wheat or something. Or like maybe a barley, and you'll grow that in the field during the winter. And so as those crops grow, you protect the field from wind erosion. You protect the field from water erosion as well. And then when the spring comes, you will take your machines and you'll chop down all the stuff. And then you'll actually mix it into the soil. So we protected the soil during the winter, and then we've actually added more nutrients to the soil by churning in all that organic material, adding a lot of nitrogen especially. Yeah, so that's strip cropping. Generally a seasonal phenomena. Questions? Related to strip cropping is rotational cropping.
So rotation is when you have a certain, so I did 4. So of those 4, you would use 3, and you would choose to like rotate them each year. So this year they're planted in this order, and in the next year it'll be moved around. And the purpose of that is to make sure the soil isn't being overused, and like it'll give it a year to like replenish So that way, when it gets planted in again, it'll have more nutrients.
Nice. A lot of times you'll do crop rotation where one of the crops might be specifically like a nitrogen fixer. Anyone know of a plant that fixes nitrogen or family? One of the three sisters? Beans, yeah. Beans, the bean family is really good nitrogen fixers, all legumes. So you might have that as one of your rotations. So when they deplete the soil of nutrients, the other plant will add more of it. Because as you remember, the atmosphere is 70% nitrogen, but most plants can't actually use that nitrogen. They need to get it from the ground. So plants like beans can actually pull it out of the air and put it in the soil, which is super helpful. Cool. So kind of similar to strip cropping, but more of like a yearly basis. And you can actually use all of those crops as well, instead of just mulching them. All right. So now we have, whoa, what the? Sorry, some spam calling me. That was crop rotation, yeah. So now we have contour planting and terraces, correct? Who wants to go first? Sorry, I just killed your Alex.
So I don't know if you go over there. I think everyone knows what steps look like, right? So terraces are basically a piece of like sloped land cut into like step-like formations. And the purpose of this is to conserve water and soil, and it reduces soil erosion, and then permits more extensive cropping. But it does retain too much water sometimes, and then there's water overflow and land degradation.
Did you happen to see where this happens a lot? Which part of the world? Anyone know? Super common in Asia. So basically you'll take a sloping land, and instead of having it just slope like that, you'll make it into, I guess I could do this, kind of. Like a little accordion. You can also look at pictures if you don't like my crude representation here. But basically you make like a little stair step, right? Whoop, whoop, like that. So you'll grow crops on the flat areas instead of on the slopes. And then, yeah, when Serena was talking about overflow, that might be where this fills up with water and then pours over. And then that can lead to a lot of erosion. There. Terraces are really good for rice growing, especially. And then related is contour planting.
So contour planting is it follows the slope, and they plant in like a step-like as well. And when it rains, the water would catch and it would flood the crop in a way and not fall down the slope. So it's like saving or conserving water. And they try to do this all in one day so they could use less fuel for their machines. Although it does reduce erosion, and it can be bad for the water to overflow the crops. And it's a lot of loss in labor as well.
Yeah, why do you think you guys might go for terraces versus contour? Any ideas?
It's safer to do terraces.
Yeah, terraces probably be better in steeper terrain, especially. Other ideas of maybe advantages of contour planting over terraces?
You have to water
Yeah. Probably less labor intensive in general too, right? So in terraces, you're actually reshaping the land versus contours, you're just kind of using the land. Questions? Okay. I'm just gonna go look at an example over here of what it would look like, and then we'll go back in the classroom. Yeah. Oh God. Oh, I'm in the bushes now. So we got a nice hill slope here. a lovely hill slope. So the idea of contour planting is to plant all of your crops at the same elevation, right? So you would plant in a row here and then a row up there. What would happen if I planted up and down like this? Yeah, you have increased erosion because gravity is also working with you. And so gravity would bring all of your plants down the slope. So the idea is you just kind of build it along those contours. Anyone know